90s, it seemed that clips from missing episodes of Doctor Who were turning up on a weekly basis. We had censored footage from Australia and later New Zealand, 8mm off-screen clips, extracts hidden in Blue Peter and other programmes, and more clips from The Power of the Daleks than you can possibly imagine. But there is one category of clip that we don't talk about as much, and that's possibly down to the fact that the clips in question are not really all that interesting, in that they don't contain exciting and new revelatory footage. These are the clips that have been sitting quietly in plain sight, never bothering to get placed on lists of clips of missing episodes. Doctor Who is famous for its cliffhangers, and it's the cliffhangers and the reprises that are the sources of these particular clips. Does this mean that we have dozens upon dozens of clips from missing episodes hidden in the cliffhangers? Sadly, not as many as we would like. In the 1960s, cliffhangers and reprises were handled in a variety of different ways. One of the most common methods was to play in a film-recorded copy of the cliffhanger from the week before. If the end of an episode was all on film, say from a pre-recorded film sequence, the same film could be reused at the start of the next episode. One other method was to record the cliffhanger a second time, directly onto film, so it could be played in the following week without the need to edit around closing credits.
They will be shot on sight, but aim for the head.
While perhaps the most straightforward method was to reenact the cliffhanger at the start of the recording of the next episode. And these techniques and others can be seen across the first 6 seasons. So taking all of this into account, are there any clips from missing episodes in the reprises and cliffhangers? The answer, thankfully, is yes. Let's take a look at some examples. The Crusade, the Warlords. The closing moments of this episode were used at the start of the following story, The Space Museum. If we look at the footage alongside telesnaps from the final episode of The Crusade, we can see that this is the same footage. The Celestial Toymaker, the Dancing Floor. The camera script for the final episode shows that the reprise was taken from film recorded the week before. If you listen very closely to the footage used in episode 4, you can just about hear the music used for the episode 3 cliffhanger.
Could you see? You'll be playing against me. See, you'll be playing against me.
The Smugglers, episode 1. The Smugglers opens with a repeat of a scene from the end of the previous episode. The War Machines episode 4 ends with the TARDIS dematerialising, and the very same shots open The Smugglers. The Wheel in Space, episodes 2 and 5. Both of these episodes ended with sequences on film, which were reused in episodes 3 and 6. Just to be certain, if we look at the telesnaps again, we see that the sequences are identical. The only oddity that we have is that the audio on episode 5 and the start of episode 6 is slightly different. The reasons for this are open to interpretation. The Space Pirates, episode 1. The end of the recording session for episode 1 was recorded onto both 625-line videotape and 32mm film. As episode 2 was planned to be recorded directly onto film, this would make the editing of that episode much more straightforward. Are there other examples? Almost certainly. This is not an exhaustive list by any means. The archaeology of Doctor Who is ongoing. We've learned you can't always trust the camera scripts. Some of the surviving audio recordings are incomplete. And unless episodes are recovered, we may never know for sure.